Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. This is a channel where we talk about football, we talk about cricket. Football is usually Arsenal. So with me is Elroy. But before we go anywhere, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know what we are doing right. Let us know what we are not doing right, and give us a shout out if you can. Hey Elroy, welcome back.
Yeah. Hey, Kev. Good to be back.
So quite a few things happening again in the transfer market. Sometimes we just have those days when everything is dull. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the last 3 days, the Odegaard rumors have again surfaced, and Odegaard is back again in
Yes.
the market. There was also a rumor somewhere around that Locatelli, not all things about Locatelli have been shut. Sassuolo really wants the money. Juventus not wanting to pay that much. Hands might be tied to sell him to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then there was the Aaron Ramsay deal that was again suddenly springing up. We had talked about Aaron Ramsay way back that maybe it could be one of those last day deals where Arsenal might just go and get him as a fan favorite. But where do you stand with all these things? Let's start with Odegaard.
So for me, Odegaard is a high chance of a rumor transfer, which I see I see that it has a high chance of happening. So I have said this from the start itself that the door has not been shut on the Odegaard scene, and rightly so. There's rumors have resurfaced again this week that there's a good chance for us to get him. Now, the reason behind this was that see, there are a lot of factors that favor us. One thing is Real Madrid do need the money; they do need cash, and if a decent bid is made, we can definitely get Odegaard. The second thing is that Odegaard had a good time at Arsenal. I mean, he seemed to have really worked out well with Arteta and at the club. He knows the club now. And he would definitely be open to coming here because he knows he's going to get regular first team football here. At Real Madrid, it's not going to be first team football for sure because let's face it, their midfield three of Cruz, Casemiro, and maybe Valverde or Modric, it's very difficult to displace those guys. And at Arsenal, he has a better chance of it working out. I always had this gut feeling that Arsenal were just leaving the Odegaard decision late because they would probably see if anything else is possible, or maybe focusing on the other deals first in order to get a deal like Odegaard done later. So for Odegaard, it was all about timing because there's a lot of timing process involved because he is probably waiting for a clear direction from Ancelotti whether he has him in his plans or no, and a lot of those factors are there. So I think Odegaard can happen, and that is one of the deals which I have always been saying that it looks like we could always get him, and yeah, that for me is a one to watch out for.
So you said that you started the whole thing with a keyword that said if the right amount is offered.
Yeah,
What do we think is the right amount for Odegaard? Now, also consider that there is also an hour decision that is pending, who is a little bit cheaper than potentially an Odegaard move, and then there is tried and tested PM stuff, Madison, who is available for 60
yeah.
plus. So, with that
Yeah.
said, what do you think would be a right amount for Odegaard, and what do you think should be our choices if Odegaard doesn't happen?
See, I think we as fans will obviously have one guy, a certain choices that we want, but by the looks of it, Arsenal definitely are prioritizing someone like Odegaard. Maybe they are trying to prioritize someone like Madison, but Madison, as you know, AFC Bell reported today, and a lot of reports saying that it's going to take almost 60 to 70 million to get him. And the one of the reasons why it has come up as well is that 60 to 70 million will probably, or it could even go more, mainly because Norwich have a 10 to 15% sell on clause. So whatever Leicester City sell Madison for, Norwich are going to get a huge percentage of that, like 10 to 15%. So obviously Leicester would want a higher amount for him to be sold. So that alone shows that Leicester are are less likely to give us do us any favor and sell him to us on a discount. That's not going to happen. Second thing is that he's contracted till 2024, so Madison becomes almost impossible. The only way we get Madison is if we spend mad amount of money. And I know people will say that yes, we have already spent 50 million on Ben White, which again, even I find that quite a strange one that we've gone all out to spend. But maybe the club did prioritize that move. That's the only thing I would say. but spending 70 million on Madison would be a massive risk. We've already spent 72 million on Pepe, and hopefully he turns out to be one of this, a player worth 72 million this season. So, but Madison, he could turn out to be that, but 70 million on him is a massive risk. It's a risk which, unless you're absolutely sure that things are going to work out, it's just a massive risk to buy that. So, so for me, maybe the club has just decided to choose between Madison and Odegaard, and Odegaard does make more sense right now in terms of, see, the reported price for Odegaard is around 30 to 35 million, is what a lot of people are claiming. Now, 30 to 35 million for Odegaard, as per me, is a very, very good deal. I mean, okay, not very, very good. It's a decent deal. It's a decent deal, and there's almost like a 30 million gap between if that is the price and Madison's price. Now, people will say that yes, there are certain reports quoting that Real Madrid want 50 million, but Real Madrid are not going to get 50 million for Odegaard. Like nobody in their right mind is going to pay 50 million for Odegaard unless he like has like a stellar season, which he has not had right now. So, and if a bid of 35 million comes into picture, I don't see Real Madrid saying no to that, because Odegaard wants out because he seems doesn't seem to be happy there. He needs first team football, and 35 million is something that Real Madrid would be pretty stupid to let down, because his price might not end up increasing if he stays with them. Primarily because if he's not going to be starting, he's not going to be regular, and if he doesn't prove himself, his price might decrease, and he'll just have another year left in his contract. So it could be a win-win for both the both the parties.
So then, which takes me back to the third option that we had, which was our. Now, our
So
was again
yeah,
not really rated as high, but he was again one of those players that could have pretty much played with Partey alongside Partey, and then Smith Rowe up in the front, and he's the guy who takes the ball up front and then add more box numbers in the box.
yeah.
Where do you see our missing out, and why are we not even considering him?
See, so based on what I have read on Twitter or heard in certain podcasts, the club have found certain issues with our maybe on and off the field, which they don't want to get into. Could be maybe it's a tough agent to deal with, or maybe there are certain off-field issues that they have. But the scouting reports have not made convinced Arsenal. And as I have always said this, the our news is mainly like a fan-made theory. Like it's kind of like fan-made, or you could also say to some extent lazy journalism. I'm not to criticize the journalists, because some of them have reported an interest, no doubt. It's mainly that people have just been carrying it forward from last season because of the fact that he's available for a much cheaper rate. So people think that we are definitely going to go for him, which doesn't seem to be the case. Based on the rumors, it clearly looks like Arsenal pulled out last year. And if they pulled out last year, it makes you think that are they really going to go again this year, even if he's available for cheap, for a lesser rate. So it's a tricky one. And for me, our will be a kind of a player wherein if Arsenal don't get Madison, maybe, or they don't get Odegaard, or maybe anybody else if they are targeting, then maybe as a last case option they pay that 25 million and they get our. That is what I feel will happen. But by the looks of it, Arsenal are not prioritizing our.
So, moving on from that to somebody who's going to play pivot with Partey now. Now we had a situation where we beat this topic to the bush with Locatelli. But now again,
Yeah,
reports that sprung up from Italy yesterday were that today and tomorrow would probably be a decision day for Locatelli if Sassuolo would accept the offer that Juventus has
yeah,
made, or will they be considering any other outside offers? Now,
yeah,
so far, Arsenal were the ones that have bid the highest, but that is one thing that just refuses to die down. What do
yeah.
you make of this our with this Locatelli situation now?
See, for me personally, it's a closed chapter. Look, the player doesn't want to leave. Players' priority is Juventus. The club want Juventus to make a better offer. So that clearly shows that they're just using Arsenal as a bait for Juventus to pay up. I have a feeling that Arsenal are like have probably washed their hands off this deal. They don't want it because Locatelli is like, clubs like Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern, they'll always make one big signing every year. For Juventus, by the looks of it, Locatelli is going to be like their priority. He is supposed to be like their main signing of the season. Irrespective of their financial situation, they will want to get it done somehow or the other. They wouldn't want to lose him out to anyone else that way. And so for me, if at all anything is happening that his name is coming up, it's purely just media speculation. I honestly don't see Locatelli happening. I mean, I would generally be surprised, and I would be eating my own words if he actually happened, because all the signs are that he will join Juventus, and Juventus will not let him, let go of such a move. They'll definitely get their man. So for me, that is it won't happen. Yeah,
So do
just
you
my
think
take.
that somewhere putting Aaron Ramsey in the market is probably a way to boost money for Locatelli, and they're just waiting for somebody else to pick Ramsey out and free some
Yes,
funds?
definitely. Because see, one of the things with Ramsey is that Ramsey is on a very high wage. He's on 250 plus k a week in for Juventus, which is a lot. And there are very few clubs that can actually afford him, or who would take. First of all, he would command a transfer fee, and to get that kind of wage is it's going to be a headache for Juventus to get rid of him in the first place. And yes, I mean, to be honest, I don't see. I think Juventus could definitely do with Ramsey, but maybe Allegri doesn't rate him, or we don't know what is the thing, or maybe Italian football has just not suited him. Yeah, I mean, from the couple of times that he has played well, but I don't know what it is with him. For me, I will never not. I would. I have a firm no on Ramsey back to Arsenal. See, for me, players like Ramsey, Wilshere, it's just the emotions that talk. You think of it practically, a player who's 31 on very high wages, and yes, quality is there, but then he also has a very weak calf, and which keeps giving way, and like his hamstring calf, whatever that muscle that he keeps pulling. And when you have such kind of, I think he's hamstring, yeah. When you have such kind of issues, and the older you grow, you're going to get more problems that way, and you're not going to be like a regular starter for sure. And that's the last thing we need right now. What we need is someone definitely with a younger profile and a different profile. Ramsey has a lot of attributes that we would definitely enjoy we would really love at the club right now, but I think we have to move past that, because we can do better. Because and another thing, again, we get Ramsey, again you're stuck with similar situation that we have with Oba or we had with Ozil. You're stuck with a player on very high
Take a
wages
step back.
and say the player declines, then you're forced to have another year or so wherein the player will not want to leave and you're just paying high wages.
So I I would agree with you there. It's like taking a step back. Going for Wilshere, going for Ramsey is taking a step back. Let's quickly touch base on the goalkeeper situation and the merry-go-round that we are seeing right now. There's again the talks of Ramsdale, then there was suddenly Onana links happening in the last few days, and then those died down. Ramsdale died down. Now suddenly
Yeah.
Ramsdale is rated at 40 million by Brighton. What do you make of that?
Yeah.
Do you think that will happen?
See, Ramsdale for Sheffield quoting 40, that is just like media nonsense. They are just
Sorry.
trying to get a higher price. So for me, that is, as we discussed in depth in the last recording of ours, that it's a really it's a weird one. I honestly don't know why we are spending so much on it. But so only another perspective that was there was put by, again, by Gunnar Blog in the Askcast, where he said that he being an athletic journalist has this thing wherein that maybe the deal could be something like, we pay Sheffield 18 million, which is they recover the entire money that they spend on Ramsdale, and the deal increases in amount. The amount increases based on certain add-ons, like maybe if he plays for England or the number of starts and things like that. If that is there, I could make sense with it, but I'm still not okay with us paying more than 20 million on a backup keeper, and that too with the backup keeper being Ramsdale. Everybody knows on Twitter and even on this pod how much I have, rambled on and rated Onana a lot. But Onana links have just gone off the radar, and doesn't seem like we are going to be pursuing that, which is a big disappointment for me. But looks like the club are just going in another direction there. So the goalkeeper situation still remains a big mystery. My point is that Arsenal, if they are ready to pay what 20 to 30 million for Ramsdale, isn't there a better goalkeeper out there? Like, I know that you all are trying to get a homegrown player, but is he the really the guy who you want, like maybe even to take charge from Leno? I mean, For me, that's a big mystery.
I agree. And now that you say that Onana links have died down and disappeared, that will probably be typical Arsenal when we suddenly spring up a surprise and say, yeah, we are back in the market for Onana. That's how we have done
Possible,
business in
yeah.
the past. So
Yeah, yeah.
before we wrap up, now one big thing was we saw the game yesterday where we saw Lokonga actually we saw him hitting,
Yeah.
showing what he can offer. Where do you see us with Lokonga? Do you see us having him as a regular starter, a potential replacement for Xhaka?
Yeah, no, he for me, Lokonga will definitely not be the main starter. Like the moment Xhaka leaves, see, that is another topic that I wanted to touch upon. You realize the fact that till now, no central midfielder is being linked to Arsenal, even though everybody knows that Xhaka is like almost 90% leaving. So the fact that no name is being mentioned at all, apart from Neves, it actually excites me because this club of ours tends to work in the shadows quite a bit. So we all like take for instance the year 2019, we were linked with players like Malcolm or that from the that Everton from Brazil. A lot of these and Zaha obviously, but Zaha also like was not sure. But we were linked with all these players, and all of a sudden we end up going and signing Pepe. So that is the thing with this club. Like when the links are not available for a particular player, it's actually a good sign because it's probably the club have a plan and they are working on something. We just keep hoping that it's a good deal, it's a good person, that a good player that they're looking after. Because look, Xhaka, as I said, 90% he's definitely going to go. I don't see him staying at the club because he wants to go. Roma are trying quite a bit. I mean, they are testing our limits, no doubt, but there's a high chance of that happening. And Lokonga, we cannot go into a season with just Partey, Lokonga, Elneny. Partey and Elneny will go into the African Cup of Nations, and who are we left with? Lokonga? No. So for me, I don't see us going into a season where our entire central midfield is just like four players, three players, and maybe if you count someone like Niles or Willock, but I have different opinions that they might leave as well. So taking all that into account, we will definitely get a central midfielder the moment Xhaka leaves. If Xhaka doesn't leave, then that's a different case, but I don't see that happening. So yeah, so Lokonga for me will have an impact like Guendouzi in 2018-19, wherein he's looked at maybe as a player, squad rotation player, but he will end up having quite a few minutes because he will offer something different in the central midfield, which we have lacked over the last couple of years, maybe. So at the same time, he's not going to be the starter, regular starter, but he will get quite a few starts and he'll get quite a lot of minutes under his belt.
So now that you mentioned, both of them will be going, Elneny and Partey. What's our backup DM?
Yeah, so that's why I say that we will definitely get another central midfielder. So it will be another central midfielder along with someone like Lokonga, So it will be something of that sorts. But that's why I keep saying we are definitely buying a central midfielder. We are not leaving that unless, of course, Xhaka stays. Then it's a different case. But yeah, we will buy one for sure.
Which makes me feel that the whole Locatelli deal is something that I would love to keep a close eye out on, because again, it's Arsenal. We never know what kind of a surprise they might spring upon us. Suddenly, we might see that somebody like that, or considering how cheap we are, we may even say that okay, Chambers is our makeshift DM in that meantime while everything is out there. It's Arsenal. It's
Yeah,
typical Arsenal.
yeah.
Uh, and before we go, Lacazette rated 15 million. Atletico interested. Do you think that's something we would like to see happen this year?
I would say take it. See, it's right now. It's either we take it or lose Laka for free. It's so you got to see it like 15 million for Laka. Is he going to even score 15 goals? If he gets those 15 goals, then fair enough. It might make some sense to keep him another season. But see, Laka is a decent striker. He's not bad as they make him out to be. But with 1 year left, if we can get in some amount of money from him, like 15 million, I would say take it because he's going to touch 30, if I'm not mistaken. And uh, at this point of time, yes, if and as a lot of people have pointed out, Arsenal have two strikers who are like Laka, who's 30, and Oba, who's going to be 32 or is 32. when you have two of your main strikers at this age, it's high time you think about the future and how you're going to build the future strike force of yours. Yes, we have Balogun, but how long is he going to take? So till then, what is our transition plan? What kind of a striker are we going to go for? So a lot has to be seen. So for me, if at all Laka, there's a bid and we can, 13, 15 million, we are getting him, I would say sell him and start a rebuild in that striking department.
All right. Well, on that note, I would like to say that this is typical Arsenal. We always think about rebuilding, but never is the team completely built for us to actually push for the
Correct.
title. At least that is what we have seen in the last 7 to 8 years now. But that's all that we have for today. Uh, any other topics that Elroy you think we have to cover?
No, I guess we just know that Ben White has had his second round of medical today, apparently, and
Which, yeah,
uh,
I do not
yeah,
buy that link at all. It's like, what do you mean by
yeah,
second round?
yeah. So his announcement will probably be tomorrow or day after. So that is one thing we can look forward to at least. So something exciting to look forward to.
Absolutely. All right. Well, guys, if you have come this far, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know what we are doing right. Our Twitter handles are right there on the bottom left corner of the screen. Again, the channel is Back to the Nets. We talk about Arsenal and we talk about football in general and transfers. So, Elroy, thank you again for joining us. We
Thanks.
will talk shortly and fingers crossed for
Sure,
something big and good happening with us. We deserve something.
definitely. Yeah. Yes,
All
we
right.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.